Welcome back to Let Glory Shine. I'm your host, Martha Glory, and I am so excited to be here for another episode of Let Glory Shine. Today, I have a fantastic, oh my goodness, gracious, amazing guest, Sierra Wilson. Y'all, I met her last year and I fell instantaneously in love with her, not only with her story, her testimony, but her heart. And I cannot wait for you guys to meet her because she has a message today that is going to resonate. I know she and I have trauma bonded, but from a healing place because we've both been through extensive trauma, but we've also done extensive work to heal. So I can't wait for you guys to hear her testimony. Welcome, Sierra Wilson. How are you?
Thank you so much, Martha. I echo so many of those things back to you. And I am wonderful. I'm so excited that we get to do this. Like, I literally woke up this morning and I was like, this is my life now. Like, I got to take two calls from home, and I'm like, these people actually came and asked me to pay me to hear what I have to say because they value my opinion. And then I get to go do a fun TV episode with my friend Martha. And like, what is this life? Like, this is so amazing. This is so fun. And I just love it. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I've been waiting patiently for you to become a guest. I asked you months ago, and but you had some health issues, and all part of your building testimony. So, give us the acorn version of your testimony and how that has led into what you are doing today.
So the super short Cliff Notes version is I was like everyone else. I didn't really think about my health. I just took it for granted every day. I woke up, my body worked the way it was supposed to until it didn't. I was getting ready for my wedding. I was starting to get progressively sicker. Everyone just kind of chalked it up as like wedding jitters, anxiety, like, brides trying to do all the things. And we just kind of chalked it up to not managing stress well. We found out later that was not exactly true. It probably played a part, but wasn't the whole story. And then 10 days after my wedding, I got bit by a wood tick. And that de escalated my health status fairly quickly. I went to 25 doctors in a matter of 6 months. And I got a lot of people just saying, like, we don't know what's causing this. There's nothing we can do for you. Some people said, like, this is just like a mental health issue. And I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going crazy because I'm sick and my body's not working well. So, like, you're not wrong. And also, this isn't the root cause. I ended up going to one of the best hospitals in the country, and they had an idea of what was going on, but then they said, we're sending you home without a care plan. There's nothing we can do for you. And when you're dying, you're desperate. And I ended up seeking out a naturopathic doctor who I had heard some things about. And y'all, I'm just going to tell you, I did not believe in naturopathic doctors. I did not believe in natural medicine. I'm a very science and math minded person. So I like things to be quantified. I like studies. I just was like definitely of the personality that, like, we're so evolved as humans that a couple of herbs simply can't help someone who's sick. Like, that was totally me. But like I said, when you're dying, you're desperate. And I know God led me to that point because I had to hit that point to be willing to open my mind to, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe there's something I could learn here. And so I know exactly what he was doing. Like, I'm a stubborn German. Like, it took quite a bit to crack me. But I ended up going to that doctor. He did things very differently than I had ever seen in like modern medicine world. And I took his advice and I started getting better. And eventually I was like, you know what? There's something to this. There's definitely a need for modern medicine. We are so grateful to live in America, where we have some of the best trauma care in the world. And also, there's a whole other side of healing and health that I had never been exposed to before, of natural means to build your health. So instead of like chasing disease, he was working on building my health. And it never really had things explained to me the way he had explained them. So after I started getting better, I was just like, more people need to know that there's options, that there's always something you can do. And so I studied with him for several years. And now I run a natural health nonprofit in Minot, North Dakota. We serve our local area in person, obviously, but then we have expanded to remote care as well, because I want people to know that there's hope and that there is always something you can do. And if you're willing to take responsibility for your own situation and your own health, there are so many things that you can be doing at home for relatively low cost to be building your health every day. And eventually, the premise is disease is less likely to exist in healthy bodies. So, that is our mission here. We want to make natural health products and services accessible and affordable for everyone. I just saw the most recent Jurassic Park, and I'm a big, or Jurassic World, I'm a big Jurassic fan. Didn't love this movie. Some people are going to probably come at me at the comments, but I did not love this movie. But there was a premise in the movie where one of the scientists says, you know, science is for everyone. It's not just for the people who can afford it. And that actually did strike a chord with me. If he's right, like this information is for everyone. And when we put astronomical dollar amounts on it, we're doing a service to some and a disservice to other people. So we do our best to make this as accessible to everyone as possible and still keep our doors open.
I don't even know where to start because you said so many things that I want to revisit, and I feel like I should have been writing them down as you were saying them because there's so many like just nuggets of wow and good information. But one thing I want to rewind to that really, well, there's two things that really struck a chord with me is first, we have to be our own advocate, right? Like I talk about this as well in trauma and in healing is, Western medicine does not have all the keys, and there is no pill to fix trauma. Same thing with there's not always a pill to fix our health, right? Like there's just not. Sometimes we have to try other things. And it's interesting to me, although our journeys are very, very different, we both ended up naturopathic because of for different reasons, right? I went the naturopathic route for trauma healing, doing neurofeedback, biofeedback, somatic healing, craniosacral therapy, those types of things that really allow you to go inward without having to be medicated to do so. And so that was the first thing is, you have to become your own advocate. You have to ask the right questions. You have to do your own research. And research is so much easier now with the internet. 20
Hmm.
years ago, we didn't have the access that we do now, which is amazing. So that was one thing. The other thing is that yes, the stubborn German, right? Like I resonate with that as a fellow stubborn German, but I feel, and you made a reference to this, is God has to allow you to become so uncomfortable that you are willing to do anything, right? Like you are willing to go all in, but you're also willing to never make the mistake to get back to the situation that made you this uncomfortable in the first place.
1000%. I obviously, most people who come to me, they're already experiencing some health issue or some symptoms. That's what gets them in the door. I'm excited for the future generations who are starting to actually work on building their health before everything starts going wrong. So I love that some of our younger people are asking questions and being like, I saw what happened to my parents and my grandparents, and I don't want that. How do I avoid that? Well, here's a lot of things you can do. Here's a lot of information. Like Martha said before, like, you know, we just didn't have the accessibility that we have now. And I believe every generation and every person is doing the best they can with the information they
That they
have.
have.
And so now we have all of this information. And so I love that we actually can do more of our own research and can look up medical journals and can look up all this cool stuff. But then to the other side of what you're saying, like, unfortunately, a lot of people have to get to a place of significant pain to make a change. And so when we have people come in and they start feeling better and they're like, oh my gosh, I never knew that I could feel this good again. People told me this is just how I had to live. And we get something to a state of what I would call, remission, or it's not really attacking their body as much anymore, and they start feeling better. I'm like, okay, if you want to maintain this and build on this, you have to be willing to take all the lessons you've learned and not revert back to the lifestyle that got you here in the first place. Because a lot of things can have some genetic predisposition. There are some things we're exposed to that we don't have a lot of control over when it comes to toxins. But one of our biggest tools that we have in our toolbox is our fork. Every time we put something in our mouth, we are choosing to feed disease or fight disease. And that's a choice you get to make several times a day. And so when I tell people, like, you have more power over your life than you've ever been led to believe, and that's one of the simplest ways, is what are you putting in your mouth? And how many times a day are you putting it in your mouth? And are you putting it in your mouth because you're actually hungry? Or are you sad and you're trying to negate that emotion? Or are you feeling lonely? Or are you feeling stressed? If you're actually just eating because your body needs fuel, awesome. Become aware of those things. And then become aware of, like, a lot of your work, Martha, is when I feel hungry, but I'm not really hungry, I'm sad, or I'm thinking of something came up in me that might have happened 7 years ago, and for some reason it's presenting itself, and I just want to go eat a whole tub of ice cream. Like, giving people the tools to be like, okay, once you're aware of that, that awareness is number one. That's amazing. And then what do we do with that awareness?
Yeah,
And that's where I
exactly.
think your work comes in
Yeah,
so amazingly, because you tie it back to other things without re-traumatizing people, by
right.
making them aware and giving them the tools to work through it as it's popping up in their life now.
Yeah. So what you're actually describing in the work that I do is creating intentionality behind everything that we do, right? Intentionality about eating, because so often we just eat to eat, right? We're not really paying attention to the quality of our food or the quantity of our food, right? And we're just mindlessly eating. When I became painfully intentional about every single thing that I put on my fork and put in my mouth, because I was done being 274 pounds. I was done feeling sluggish. I was done having fibromyalgia. I was done living in chronic pain. And I understood the connection of all of these things with my health, with my nutrition, with all these things, right? And when I became painfully aware and intentional about what I was putting in my mouth, it was like, holy crap. I've gone through my entire life without literally like caring, right? Didn't realize the importance of it. And now when you stick to it and it just becomes the way life is and the way you are, right? It just becomes part of who you are, that intentional eating. I can't unintentionally eat anymore, right? Like I, even if triggered, my consciousness goes, no, tub of ice cream, that's never going to work for you again. Spoonful, okay. Tub, no, right? Like you have to retrain your brain. You have to retrain those neurotransmitters. I know I like to get nerdy sometimes and talk about the brain and the way that it does have to be rewired. We do have the ability to rewire, right? And we have to understand we have way more power, just like you said, we have way more power than we were ever led to believe about our own health and about disease and about dis-ease in our body, like all of those things. So, talk to me about that.
What specifically would you like me to bring up when we talk about, like, dis-ease in the body leads to disease? Do you have any
Yeah.
specific questions, or just you want me to kind of riff on it?
I would love you to riff on it, but here's why I want to draw the full circle moment for. So, when we allow ourselves not to be intentional, when we allow ourselves just to float through life, and we allow the emotion to make decisions that don't serve our highest good, we create dis-ease in our body. We call it stress, we call it anxiety, we call it depression, we call it chronic pain, we call it fibromyalgia, and then suddenly we have cancer, right? I believe there's a connection with all of that. And I believe that it's also reversible.
Absolutely. So in naturopathy, we call it issues in the tissues, because if we don't address the issues, they have to have somewhere to go. If we don't process things, they'll go deep within the body. Just like an example, different organs store different emotions. So like the liver is the seat of anger. So that means if you have a liver condition, you are more prone to have a more angry temperament. And
Mm,
also, if you choose to continue to be angry about things and not process things and not let them go and not try to find ways to heal, you're more prone towards liver issues. They go hand in hand. And so Gosh, there's so many places we could go here. I'm going to try to use an example that some people like a visualizations tend to work well for me. And so if you think of a kayak, we put a kayak in a stream. You have a paddle. Okay? You have a paddle. You have the ability to direct that kayak of where you want it to go. Or you can sit in the kayak and kind of let the waves come and bounce you around, and maybe another boat goes by, and the ripple effects of those waves are going to bounce you around. That's life. So we're going through this stream of life, and outside factors can definitely impact our path and where we end up. And also, God gave us a paddle, and He's like, you do have responsibility here. And if you choose to paddle, is life still going to happen? Is another boat still going to come by? Yeah, that could totally happen. But do you have a little bit more control of where you end up if you will kick in and start paddling? Absolutely. So we definitely don't want people who end up with some of these conditions, and nothing that we ever talk about is from a point of the word victim shaming comes to mind, because people will say, if you tell people that they're responsible for their own health, you're victim shaming. And I'm just like, as somebody who literally almost died from a bug bite, from a tiny bug, I could continue to give all my personal power away to that little bug and be mad about it the rest of my life. And my life would have probably been pretty cut short, just the way it was going after that bug bite. Or I could roll over and just be like, no, I am not going to die. I'm going to roll over and get up and figure out how to live. I'm going to figure this out. Is life still going to keep happening? Is stuff outside of my control going to happen? Absolutely. But the more I'm willing to step into my own, personal power and just be like, but I have a lot of control over the outcome as well. We always say, and also, we have a
Yes.
lot of control. I hate the word but because it has like a negative connotation. So I'll always say, yeah, yep, you're right. All that trauma happened, all those bad things happened. Some people did terrible things to you. You got bit by a bug, and that bug was very sick. And yep, that all happened. And also, you can choose to be bitter about it your whole life, and that bitterness will store up in your body and make you sicker, or you can find ways to get better. And so that is a personal choice that we have every single day. And a lot of what we do here is just trying to help people understand how much power they actually have in their life. And we've already given an example of like the fork. Your fork is your most powerful tool. The food you put in your body, it's going to fuel you, or it's going to contribute to that dis-ease process, which can turn into disease. There's so many other things. Like our mindset is such a huge part of um, how our life turns out. And we're not talking about like the toxic positivity, like everything's great, because that's just a mask you're wearing. And then when everybody goes away, you become, you actually show your true colors, and they're very sad, or they're harboring a lot of resentment, etc. It's just slowly up leveling yourself. And what's one thing I can do today to build health? What's one thing I can do today to help reduce stress in my life? And it's not always big things. For some people, I literally had a client call this morning, and I said, you don't need my permission. You never need my permission. But if it helps, I'll give you permission. Your exercise, go play in the pool with your kids. That is going to be so good for family bonding, which is going to help with oxytocin, and then all the fun chemicals get going in your brain that contribute to happiness and longevity and health. You get to bond with your kids. Your kids get to see their mom be not sick for a while as she plays with them, and you're moving your body. You don't have to go to the gym and pump iron. Just go literally play. Let your inner child out. Have fun. It doesn't have to be that we have to do this and this and this and
Yeah.
this to be healthy. The wellness industry has done a really good job of being like, if you don't get up and do these 10 things in the morning, you're not going to be healthy. Well, not a lot of us have time to do all those 10 things.
No.
Let's just start incorporating healthier habits into our daily life. And if they can contribute to us getting more time with our kids, or, being able to maybe take a work call on a walk or something like that, like
Yep.
you're just the best of both worlds.
Yeah. I say that all the time, is that people tell me they don't have time for their own healing because I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a this, I'm a that, right? And I always say, you don't have time not to,
Right.
because if you don't pay now, you will pay later, right? That's just how it works. And so making time, and the other thing is that we've overcomplicated healing. We've overcomplicated what it means to be healthy because we get mixed information from all sides, from media, from culture, from society, from our parents, from our biologics, from right? Like there's so many mixed messages. But when we get really simple and really like just like layman's terms, do the things that really matter, right? Move your body, eat, drink water, drink plenty of water or things that instead of alcohol or soda or things that take away, right? Things that add electrolytes, those types of things. Feed your body well, hydrate, exercise, move your body, and that doesn't mean run a marathon. That means move your body, play,
Right.
move, just go for a walk. Do you know how many times I go for a walk and as I'm going for a walk, I'm sending an email during doing voice text or I'm taking a phone call or I'm making a video for social media or right? Because I live a busy life, but I have learned that the small things, if I sacrifice the small things, then suddenly I'm also going to sacrifice the big things. And
Mhm.
I have too much to do in this life to start sacrificing those small things that feed me, that feed my soul, right? If I sacrifice my yoga in the morning, pretty soon I'm going to be sacrificing something else that matters to me. So I have to stick to the things that serve me, the things that are making my body feel better, making my mind feel clear, making my brain feel more, intact and more vital. So I have found the things that work for me. So if we get it, just make it simple for you. What are the things that really help you? And they may be different from mine or yours.
Can we speak to that a little bit? Because it's so funny. It's not funny. God, it's but God,
Yeah.
or and God,
And God.
and God. And so I almost canceled this call because I am in a state of survival mode. I know in my bio it says that we are trying to help people to thrive, not just survive. But let's talk about survival mode because so many people are in it. And you just touched on it. I'm a busy mom. I'm a busy dad. I have a career. I'm taking care of my aging parents. I'm trying to keep everyone fed, keep the house clean. Like there's so many people in survival mode because our society has made us really good at being human doings, not human beings. And so let's talk about that because I have had a couple people close to me be like, "You look exhausted." I'm like, "That's because I am." And I knew in this season I was going to be tired. I'm onboarding 3 new team members. I had one of my lymph techs move away. And so all of her clients are now my clients again while I get new people trained in this role and get them certified. And I knew I was going to be working a lot of hours and I wasn't going to have as much time as I had had before for self care. And so I thought, I could cancel this till I'm feeling a little bit better and looking a little bit better. But like, what message would that be sending to people? Then they just see people who have it all together all the time. And that's not relatable. Some people are so far from thriving that even saying that word, they're just like, oh, I'm out because I can't even relate to what that's like. I am just trying to keep my head above water and, keep my kids fed, And so let's talk about like what are some of the very basic things when you are just trying to keep your head above water? What can you do? What do you actually have control over when other things are happening that might not be in your control? People always say, "Oh, you have a choice," and I'm like, in like broad universal spectrum, yes, every decision you make you have a choice, but if you want to keep your job you kind of have to show up. If you want to keep your business going, you can't just be like, oh, I don't feel like it today and I am making that choice. Like some choices, we've definitely, there's more consequences if we make different choices. And so I tell people, like, number one, if there is one thing that you can do, prioritize your sleep, because if you do not sleep, you cannot cellularly repair. And when you can't cellularly repair, you can't really do a lot of any other repair, restoration, detoxing, anything in the body. And so if there's only one thing you're like, I can't do the checklist of things she's about to give, sleep. Set time aside to sleep as much as you possibly can in that season. Might it be a little less than you want to get? Yep. But can you maybe take 20 minutes less of scrolling on your phone to prioritize getting to bed 20 minutes sooner? Yes, that's a choice that you can make. So sleep is number one. And if you have the capacity to add, we'll just do two more things. We've already talked about the importance of everything at the end of your fork. Prioritize eating as healthily as you can with the capacity that you have. If you can switch chips for peas and hummus. Like I love to dip snow peas in hummus. I've convinced my brain that that's chips and dip because the motion is the same. And I grew up eating chips and dip with my dad. So it's heavily ingrained in us and apparently all my siblings upon conversation not too long ago. And so, like, that's one thing I can do. I like to eat chips and dip. I grew up doing that with my dad. I can eat peas and hummus and still trick my brain, go through the same motion, but that's a healthier snack. And if there's one more thing, and probably the most important thing as a fellow believer, Martha, the importance of taking time for your spiritual and mental health. The first 7 minutes that you are awake in the morning are the most programmable you are throughout the day. So if you pick up your phone and you turn on social media, you go to Facebook right away and see all the problems of the world, you just I'm going to say it, you wasted the 7 most influential programmable parts of your day where you could have been pouring in maybe a meditation, or you could have been listening to a prayer, or even not listening to anything and just praying yourself, or go put your feet in the grass and sit in the sun. And maybe you don't have the same God as I have. I think we are all fighting about who God is and what he, she, it is. And we're using different words, and we're all talking about the same thing. We're talking about a higher power
100%.
that's guiding our life, whether you call that Mother Nature or Buddha or Muhammad or God or Jesus or Yeshua. Like, we're saying so many different things. Just take time to spend time, even if it's just your higher self, even if you don't subscribe to some sort of entity and it's just, there's a higher, more healed version of you. Listen to her, talk to her, take time to acknowledge her, and make that the first thing you do in the morning, and your life will start to go better. Is it gonna just, you wake up the next morning? I've heard Martha say this before in speeches where she's like, you don't just get up one day and you're like, woohoo, I'm healed. Like, that doesn't happen. But are you slowly going to notice your life start to get better? Yes. And so those are like the three basic things. We make this so hard. If you don't have time to go to the gym, don't. If it's going to stress you out more, then that's probably not the best for your health. Your kids want a not stressed mom. Um, so just start super basic. We make this so hard, and it doesn't have to be. And then you build on those things. If you can just do a couple things and you make them part of who you are, the next thing you know, 3 months down the road, like Martha said, I can never go back to eating the way I ate because now it's just not who I am anymore. My brain doesn't even go there. That will
Right.
start to happen to you. And it's so
Right.
exciting because literally in a year, you'll look back and be like, oh my gosh, I'm a totally different person than I was even a year ago. And it wasn't some big grand gesture, it was small things over
Add
time,
it up.
consistently.
Consistency. Yep, consistently is key. Sierra, I could literally talk to you for the rest of the afternoon. Unfortunately, our time is up, but what an intriguingly amazing conversation. I know this will be life-giving for so many. So I want to thank you for taking your time, even though you are crazy, overwhelmed, and busy with your own thing going on right now. Thank you for pouring into us, spending time with me, and I really, really, really appreciate it. So my last question to every guest is always, what does it mean to you to allow Sierra's glory to shine?
Oh, that's a big question for a short amount of time. What does it mean to me to let my glory shine? I think I didn't get a second chance of life to not do anything with it.
Mm,
So I don't want to be someone's inspiration. Um, is it cool to see inspirational things? Yes. I want to be your motivation because there's a difference. You can be
there is.
inspired and take no action, or you can be motivated and you see what someone else has been able to do. And then you're like, I want to do that too. And I believe that I can. And so I hope that this motivates you to take responsibility for your health and start implementing baby steps, small things to start making yourself feel better because you're going to be healthier. And then, like I said, in a year, you can look back and be like, wow, I did that. And I am so freaking proud of me.
I love that, Sierra. Thank you so much. Please come back anytime. Like I said, there's so many nuggets, so much heart. I love it. Thank you so much for being on Let Glory Shine. I will see you next time, next week, same place, same station. Y'all have a good night.
Let glory shine from the ashes I rise. Every scar a story, every tear baptized. This is my freedom, this is my climb. Let glory shine, it's the power inside. This is your prosperity era, where dreams align with grace, abundance flows like rivers. You've stepped into your place. Rise, reign, and remember, you were born to shine. Welcome to your moment, Prospera, it's time.
We hope you enjoyed today's show on Prospera TV Network. Make it a point to visit us on YouTube and catch all your favorite shows anytime you want. Interested in hosting a show of your own? Or advertising your business on our network? Contact Elena Rodriguez.